From the Diary of Bill Lowie, Tuesday, 17 November. No trouble last night. The typhoon veered off and missed us completely. We are on alert now to move to Saigon for a possible troop lift. The photo I chose for today is one that Meemaw handed me about 4 years ago. It was during COVID, and she was visiting and figured she'd share some stuff she found when she was cleaning out her trailer in Georgia. When she handed me this photo, along with a few others, in a nondescript orange folder, I didn't really think much about them at first. They were mostly prints of Popi's slides. We all knew about his slides. The first time I saw them, as I've previously mentioned, was in North Carolina with the rest of my family, when Popi presented them to us himself. They were, however, family photos. So, to be more precise, the first time I saw the photos of Vietnam was a few years after that, when he was trying to digitize them. We were visiting, and he had them in a box as he was slowly making his way through them. Eventually, he'd give up and have one of my cousins work on digitizing them instead. After thinking about the photos in the folder, I asked Meemaw where the rest of them were. I wanted the slides, and any other prints she may still have. They reminded me of North Carolina. They reminded me of one of the few times I was with my family and inarguably happy. Things didn't feel so broken with everyone just yet. She said she didn't know. She lost track of them after Popi tried digitizing them. For about a week, I thought my cousin destroyed them because she didn't think they were important, or at least that was the story I was told. Luckily, she hadn't. Instead, they were kept in a box in my grandma's trailer at the bottom of a dingy closet. They had rubber bands holding stacks together, and the rubber had long since dried out and stuck to the slides, almost damaging a few, but that didn't matter. When Meemaw handed me the folder, it was like she handed me a bar of gold. The photos have obviously become very important to me since. They are a means for rediscovering a patriarch that has passed away and just so much more. My grandmother brought the slides along with the slide projector while visiting on her 80th birthday, and on that day I vowed never to part with them. Why? Because they were important to Popi, and he was the opposite of materialistic. If he saved them, it must have been for a good reason, no matter what he might have said. I now feel like it's my responsibility to save them, to share them with people, to tell his story. That night, I stumbled across a few of the slides from Vietnam that were graphic but still undigitized. I needed to see what they looked like blown up onto a wall and not through a 110mm slit in cardboard. Later, I found myself placing family photos into the projector and allowing my grandmother to see them and reminisce about what they showed. They brought back many memories for my family. As we looked at them, I felt a moment of surreal purity. Here I was now, operating the slide projector for my family, like Popi had done so many times so many years ago. Someone had to do it now that he was gone. At the time, we were watching one of my cousin's kids, which is a story for another time, but I promise we'll get to it, and I learned just how much I knew about the family. I was able to show her the photos of everyone in North Carolina, at the beach in Florida, or jumping into their above-ground pool. I pointed her grandfather out to her, who is my uncle. She had never really seen many pictures of him. His death was still pretty fresh for everyone. It was a pleasure to get the opportunity to do that. The photo itself is pretty funny, but it also brings up questions about what the soldiers in Vietnam thought they were doing over there, especially at this point so early on in the war. Was it really a fight against communism and to save the democratic, free, and American way of life? Or was this all just propaganda and totally something else? Does the true meaning have any bearing on what the soldiers thought and believed? Or what they fought and died for? Which is more important to us today? Also, if you're curious to know what Bud Bender looks like, Popi's best friend who went on the double date with he and Meemaw, he's the guy on the right. I now see why Popi grew out his mustache when he got back from the service. I'm Alex Lowie, and I hope you have enjoyed listening to this episode of Dearest Suzie, and receiving messages from the past that my Popi wrote exactly 60 years ago. I sincerely appreciate your time and interest. Please consider following the podcast on your preferred platform, and if you're enjoying it, I kindly ask that you take the time to rate the show and leave a review. Also, Please follow the project on YouTube, X, and Instagram. All likes, comments, shares, and reviews will help grow the reach of this story. The links for these things should be in the description of this episode. Please feel free to email me at dearestsuziepodcast@gmail.com if you have anything you'd like to say. I'd love to chat or to hear about your stories as well. Thank you for listening, and God bless.